Christian Jack, who's in Vancouver, powered by General Mills. How would you assess the overall emotions after this match?
Yeah, a day of very different contrasting emotions. You know, ultimately, when I got to speak to a lot of the players after the game, there was almost the one side of it where it felt very raw and they were disappointed in their performance. You know, it has to be said, significantly outplayed by a team that just had better players, more powerful, far superior, and you could sense that they played a lot longer under their coach as well, and just, I think, tournament savvy. So not a surprise for me, the way that Switzerland took it to Canada and were dominant in certain areas. But also an element of reflection from the Canadian players, where they look back and know that now they're packing their bags, they're heading south, and no matter where it takes them and how long they go, their journey here at home playing against, obviously, these opponents in front of their home crowd is over. That's it now. The 3 games are done. So there was a reflective phase about some of their comments. There was obviously a disappointment phase and also a look-ahead phase, looking ahead to a massive opportunity. Has to be said, they've still created history making the last 32. So whenever I spoke to the players, that was kind of their mood. Here's the captain of today. Here's Jonathan David.
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to stay in Vancouver, obviously, for the home crowd, but we didn't do it today. So on to the next. It's been amazing, you know. When we play at home, sometimes, you know, when the away team has more fans than us, or it's 50-50, but now it was nice to have, you know, a pro-Canada crowd that pushed us on every game, so it was nice.
And you played a lot of games in the States. How confident are you to go and try and win this knockout game in LA?
I mean, confidence is always high. I mean, you know, we're playing a tough team, but we'll be ready.
They will be ready, and as I said, they have played a lot of games. Remember, Jonathan David, you know, has played over 80 caps now, and, you know, the majority of those times, 70% of those games have been outside of Canada. This has been a euphoric experience playing here for these players. Now they get to go in what is likely a hostile environment, Andy, and see whether they can continue to create history.
I know that the prevailing sentiment, especially among very competitive athletes, is the job is not done yet. But as we've been saying off the top, this is still a historic moment for the men's program. So are they going to allow themselves some time to celebrate this achievement?
Well, I don't know if they're going to celebrate it. They will meet again tomorrow for a training session that will cover them, and I think the focus will be going forward. But you're right, it was on the lips of some of the players afterwards when we spoke to them, including Alistair Johnston.
Canada soccer, we're into the knockout stage of a World Cup, and I'm not really sure. Again, it's been kind of a strange vibe already from some of the questions I've got. Of course, we'd have loved to top the group, but we're into the knockout stage. This is the bare minimum of what we wanted, and that goes to show where we're at as a program. We're into knockouts. Anything can happen. Hopefully, as much of that crowd as possible will travel down with us and be able to play off their energy and see what we can do. But no, we're in a great place. We're in a great place.
So Alistair Johnston says they're in a great place. The place that they're in, I actually feel sorry for them a little bit, and bear with me when I explain why. I don't think FIFA got this right. You know, there's 3 countries that are co-hosting this World Cup. The United States get to play every single game at home, and we know why. That's fine. The teams that would have finished second in the Mexico group and the team that finished second in the Canada group have to play in the US. There's other games that are happening in the round of 32 that are happening in this country. And this could easily have been avoided. And people would say, okay, I'm playing Monday morning quarterback. I've been talking about this a long time to FIFA and Canada Soccer about this exact scenario. If you are a co-host and you are having 2 games in the last 32, it could have easily been organized where Canada may have had to go to Toronto, if it wasn't Vancouver, to stay here. And then we would not have to talk about these contrasting emotions of them qualifying for a World Cup last 32, but letting it go of that home advantage. You're either a co-host or you're not. No one was expecting them to have massive knockout games in the quarters, semi-finals, and final. That is a financial reason, and we know the Goliaths to the south and what they have. But I think FIFA got this wrong.
You're just making me feel nostalgic for the time that we just had the one country hosting this big tournament. What happened to Stefan Eustaquio? A lot of people woke up this morning to some very surprising news that he wasn't starting. We know he came on as a sub, but what's the latest on him?
Really interesting story developing here. Before I give you my take on it, I spoke to him after the game and asked him whether he was available to start from 90 minutes. Here's that when I asked him about that, his reaction. Let's talk about that once we've heard from Steph.
Could you have gone 90 minutes?
If I could have gone, I would. To be honest, I think we did a solid game when it comes to numbers. I think in the halftime, in terms of duels, second balls, and all that, we were very tight with them. Obviously, we felt that in some moments of the game of the first half, the momentum was for Swiss, but at the same time, we defended well. LA is going to be very tough for us, but at the same time, we feel confident that we're going to get the win.
So for me, it was a day where you've got to have all your bullets. A place against, and to win the last game, the group, sorry, to play against a team like that, you've got to have all your bullets. And Bombito was a huge loss. We could talk about the issues defensively. Luke Gafugero said after the game it was a real challenge. And this is a young man that hasn't played against top players like Brillon-Brolo very often, by the way. That was a real difficult challenge for him, and I thought he did well. But they didn't have Bombito. We'll get to Davies later. They didn't have Davies, which is obviously now a decoy. He walked through the mix zone holding his phone and didn't want to speak to anybody afterwards. And now the question, by the way, about Alphonso Davies is right to be had about why he's even in the squad. Because with 10 minutes to go in a game when you're 2-1 down to keep home field advantage and you put Jacob Schaffelberg on, I don't know why, we can even expect now to even see him in this tournament. Jesse Marsch said he hopes he'll be ready for the next game. So yet we have to start asking whether he even should be here. So for me, and with Eustaquio, it was a massive loss. Some of the players said after the game, not quite sure we didn't start well enough or why we didn't start well enough. For me, he's the tempo setter. He starts games really well. He drives them from midfield. He missed training on Sunday. We were told it was probably a maintenance day, even though Canada Soccer gave us nothing official. We didn't get to watch training properly on Monday, but he jogged around. And then Jesse Marsch perplexingly said at the start of the broadcast that it was not an injury. But he hasn't been training all week properly. So I heard it was a muscle strain. He said to us there that he couldn't go 90 minutes. That's disappointing, and I think he was a huge loss. And now with the short turnaround, more questions around Eustaquio's availability will be asked. And let's be honest, if Eustaquio can't start the game in the round of 32, Canada's chances go lower and lower.
100% they do. Well, as we bid farewell to the group stage and you look at the 3 games for Canada here, how would you summarize their performance?
Honestly, guys, it's been a joy. It's been a blessing to be there, to see so many people, ex-players, the national team of 1986, saw Tommy Wheeldon Jr. in the stadium today, just beaming. Martin Nash, who's who of Canadian football have been to these games the last 3 games, and it's beyond our wildest dreams. This was never supposed to happen, to have a men's World Cup here in Canada. It will continue, and other countries will play here, and I know Canadians will go out to support them, but we'll forever have those 3 big moments in those 2 cities, and I know that they'll stand with these players forever. That's why they wanted them more. But it's been magic. It's been really special, and long may it continue here at the FIFA World Cup in 2026.
All right, great stuff. Thanks so much. That's Christian Jack in Vancouver.